Now Cochrane and Nyland are going to go at it right at center right. Oh, Cochrane has really laid the foot onto them. And Nyland hasn't been able to throw any punches. And Cochrane got him a couple of real good ones. And they both now.
Two people, the toughest guys in the National Hockey League, go toe-to-toe.
As a kid, I wanted to be a hockey player. I was fortunate to fulfill that dream. Then I had to still make a living, but I was ready for a change, and I just thought I want to wake up every day now and do something I love to do.
I guess welcome to episode 3. Chewie, as I guess you're most affectionately known, at least around the DKLF. Is that the standard nickname for you?
Yeah, or Mr. Cochrane.
Or Mr. Cochrane. Mr. Cochrane, thank you for joining us here today. I have to admit, it's been a while since we shook hands, but when I did yesterday, I kind of thought, that could hurt. That hurt.
Mine got swallowed up by it, right? He's only done it a few times.
Yeah. It's been probably a while since you've used your hands in the manner that maybe you're most known for. But thanks for taking some time to do this with us.
Yeah, absolutely, no problem.
So Lambo, you and Chewie have an interesting story on how you guys met.
Yeah, Glenn, thanks for coming today on a Friday afternoon. We've been struggling on getting a few more episodes done with obviously the smoke and all the fires we've had in the Okanagan. It's been a tough summer, but here we are in September, and great to be here on a Friday afternoon with one of my most favorite people I've met probably in the last 15 years of my life. Glenn, I guess firstly and foremost I could say, thanks for everything you've done for us at our firm, and really, the opportunity to help yourself, your family, your brother and sister-in-laws, and many other friends that you've referred over to us. We're honored by that, and frankly, I'm so proud to be able to have met you. And it would have been on a flight to Toronto. We got on the plane in Kelowna, and you were going to Edmonton, and we rode the plane together and had a good chat. And at the end of that flight, I remember you saying, let's get in touch when you get back. And since then, it's been kind of a really special relationship I've had, I would say, with Glen as a friend, first and foremost, but as a hell of a client and a businessman that I can say, from a professional athlete who played hockey in obviously one of the toughest eras, in my opinion, ever. And when I enjoyed watching hockey a ton. And I was very fortunate enough to have dinner with Pat Quinn on 2 occasions. And Pat openly said to me that his most favorite player that he had ever coached in the National Hockey League was this gentleman right here. So, Glenn, it's an honor to be here with you today, and thank you.
Well, that means a lot to me, Dale, that Pat would say that, because there's no question he was my most favorite coach. But even more important, he was a better human being.
Yes, he was.
And I had him as my very first coach, turning pro in the minors in Portland, Maine. And, I just loved him. He's a player's coach. You do anything for him. He'd do anything for you guys, for us as players, I mean. And
great for the game of hockey.
Yeah, and he was smart, but he had a real, he was the kind of coach that taught you. If you made a mistake, it wasn't the end of the world. You weren't screamed at. You weren't humiliated. You weren't degraded in any way. He was there to teach you and for you to learn and improve yourself as a player. And for that, I think he was a blue-collar guy. I consider myself that type of a player. It didn't come easy all the time, but he gave me the opportunity, and he believed in me. And I loved his wife Sandy and his 2 daughters, and had him again in Philly when I finally made it, and then I had him in Vancouver when I was there, and he came in his first stint. And he liked me so much he traded me.
Welcome to the business of hockey.
Yeah.
I always remember Brian Burke had a hilarious story about Pat Quinn when a player came in and said, Coach, I'm wondering why I'm on the 4th line, and his answer is, I don't have a 5th.
Well, I think Pat and a lot of the coaches knew what everybody's upside was and what side of the game that they were best at, and he it was like a puzzle putting it all together, and he was excellent at it. But I loved his professionalism. there's two guys I would say that I've walked into a room and they just have a presence about them, and he is definitely the number one guy.
Well, you're probably you're a little different than our first guest in the sense that you've been retired a little bit longer and had a career after your career. But if I can take you all the way back to Merritt in 1974-75, I got to ask this question.
Yeah.
The stat line shows you had 9 assists and 0 penalty minutes. That had to be a typo, no?
Well, I haven't seen that, so I can't confirm that. But I know I did get traded from our AHL affiliate, the past Red Devils, to Merritt, and I broke my leg. I think maybe the 9th game in, and at that time I don't know.
Yeah, I would be, with my connection in the BCHL, I still get to visit that rink every once in a while. I can only imagine a young Glen Cochrane running around that ice surface having a good time.
Yeah, I was 16 at the time, and that rink is small, but in those days it was jam-packed, and it wasn't fun all the time. It was hard.
So Glen, you got Joan and 3 beautiful daughters, obviously grandchildren now. Your life has progressed post-hockey like any dream would come true for a professional athlete. Maybe give us a little bit of a perspective on your life post-hockey. When you got into obviously some commercial real estate, you also got into a franchise business that you can talk a little bit about, and just as things tended to progress through your life as you've developed on into where you are now, maybe provide a little bit of insight what you did.
Yeah, you know what, Dale, I could tell my career was ending, within a year or two. I was trying to get every year I could out of it because, it's our dream as kids. And, I was 30 and I was playing for Edmonton at the time, and they were going to send me down, and I didn't want to go back to the minors. I know what that route's like, riding buses, fighting young guys. And so I moved on, and it took me a year, but I had a friend, Dave Feemster, and he recommended me going down to see him in Pueblo, Colorado. So by the time Joan and I, the time we played our last game was the middle of the season on January 1st, 1990. And I said, well, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't have an education. I saw Renee's interview, and he went to school, and it just lets people get more than just a hockey background. And so I flew down to Pueblo, and he owned a Little Caesars pizza franchise with Mr. Illich, and Dave's from Detroit. So I went down there for a month, and he was opening, I believe, his 3rd store. And so I went down there just to help him, experience it. I did the daily operations stuff, making dough, rolling dough, serving customers, pizzas, crazy bread, whatever.
Love to hear that.
Oh,
Heart
no.
and soul to get into the business.
Yeah, I wasn't down there just to watch it and see it. I was in there hands-on and making 15 batches of dough into dough balls. And anyway, I did that for a whole month with him. And I came back and I just said to Joan, I have no other ideas, plans. I am not educated in anything. I had no other experience in anything because, in the summers you're working out to go back for the next season. So I said, well, what the heck? I went out to Detroit, got interviewed, got accepted as a franchisee, and we moved the whole family back to Detroit for 8 weeks and took the course, Little Caesars franchise course, and learned my trade. Came back to Maple Ridge where we're living and found our first location in Maple Ridge, and we opened up 1 year after I retired. So I had a whole year where I had to live off savings, go to school, see Dave, and open our first store in 91 I think it was, and then end up moving to the Okanagan, end up opening 10, 11 stores throughout the Okanagan. Good for you.
Did you think when you got into it that it would turn into 10, 11 stores, or did you just kind of take it as it came?
I think at the time I had no experience in business, and I didn't know what it was about. I was just wanting to make the first one successful, to make a living, have the family fed and have a job type of thing. And it was a really good location. It was a great town. We lived in Maple Ridge for 5 years, and we opened a second one in Mission, and then we came up the Okanagan and it kind of expanded. But it's not like I grew up saying I want to, be in the restaurant business or anything, but it just worked out that way. And I think hockey provided so many key things to a successful business like Dale runs. It's about people, it's about hard work, it's about learning, dealing with adversity, challenges. There's so much to it that hockey relates to the business world. And the big thing is I'm a team guy. Yeah. I didn't play individual tennis or anything. I believe in the team concept, and you're in the store with 10, 15 employees, and you're part of the team.
Well, very similar to really how we run our business, Glenn, I would say.
Sure.
It's a collaborative approach, from every part of our team, from Jason, our marketing now, to David, to Matt, to Christian, to Taryn, to Kaylin, to Sylvia, to now Karen Preet, and our tax team, and everybody we work with. It takes a team to win, and it takes a team to lose. So you can always get better every day, and that's the focus. So, Glenn, maybe a question that comes to my heart is, you came out of an era where there wasn't huge dollars in hockey. You worked your ass off for what I would call a paycheck in many cases. Sometimes, it was a tough go compared to what these young gentlemen make today. And one of the things I've always preached and said to everybody is, you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. You give a man a fish, or you teach a man to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. And today, I think it's so important for these young athletes, doesn't matter what sport it's in, that they need a good team to help them financially. Maybe tell me and speak to these young guys, because today Glenn is involved obviously with hockey and in a capacity that we want to talk about, but tell them the importance of maybe having a team in their corner like ours, or whoever that may be.
Well, I think for me it goes back to my youth, and I have two great parents. They're both passed now, and they had 6 kids in 7 years, so we were not affluent. My dad was in the Air Force for 10 years, and with BC Hydro. My mom helped my dad when he opened his own business. So, I just saw that I was very conservative. I had to work hard. I was a saver, and I just know that I just felt like I had to look after myself, and I was never in a financial position where I felt secure in any way. I knew I had a plan for the future, and it was just more instinct, to take care of your future. And so that's what I tried to do, since I just wanted to get out of the game. At that time, it was a different era, different money, but also it was better than it was in the 40s, 50s, and 60s.
Yeah.
So I'm not complaining, and I'm not envious of the players. I'm hoping.
So what do you think about the kids, though? Like, let's talk about the kids, though, today that are making the money.
Yep.
How important it is to make the right decisions, Glenn. I mean, you were fortunate where, you've always been a leader. You've always looked and had that drive. What happens if you don't have that today, and you think, to get something you want to teach these young kids? Is there anything you could say to these young kids today from a perspective where they're at?
Yeah, it's such a different time and different era and a different way of everybody looking at things. I think, the young kids that are in junior B or midget, or, just got drafted, all they see is these big contracts and the millions of dollars that are out there. And so their vision and what they perceive is the hockey world is all this glamour and money making, and it's there for them. But I would just like to see the players just go back to, most of us are all from small town Canadian small towns. I'm from Cranbrook. And it's just like, just to remember where you're from, where your parents are from, what your grandparents have taught you, or the examples they shared. But I just think, they only have to play a year or two, to make what I made in 10 years, so it's like, wow, man, to me, it's hard for me to think that some of them are in maybe financial trouble or whatever, but I just want them to, even if they took half of what they made, I mean, minimum wage is almost $800,000. I mean, come on, you don't need too many years to be a minimum wage player.
And it's USD as well.
Yeah, right? So.
Maybe talk about your experience with the DKL team. I mean, the one thing I think is neat, like, you really work with the whole crew. I know you meet with Kalen a lot, and obviously Dale oversees and makes sure, but talk about that experience with the firm and what it means to you at this stage.
Yeah, I think when I met Dale in the airport, I'm not sure how we just connected at the airport, but I think it was through somehow, we had a mutual friend or something like that, and so we just kind of recognized each other maybe in the airport, and Dale's right, he said, hey, let's meet up when you get back. I get back from my trip, and we did. And I just think it was just really important for me that I had somebody that was going to look after my affairs. And what I liked right off the bat was it was all encompassing. And so for me, I didn't want to have this over here, that over there, listen to this guy over there, whether it's my business or my NHL pension or my investments or
Commercial real estate.
Yeah. I had some residential property, and I just wanted it all under one umbrella, and I wanted somebody I could relate to. And for me, it's about people and your product. I don't care what business you're in. I mean, I was in the pizza business, but I just felt if I made a good quality product and you got good service when you came in the door, that business should succeed.
Absolutely.
And I just think Dale's and your firm is the same way. I could call Dale, Kalen, Matt, anytime, Sylvia, and we have fun. We go in, but they're professional and they're smart. They know their products. So I've been thrilled, and I've told Dale this before. I wish I had met him when I was 19, when I first turned pro.
Yeah.
And
thank you, Glenn.
I would be a lifelong customer of his, but we've met now. It's been 8-9 years, and I'm thrilled.
It's the part of the business I love with you, Lambo, is the chance. We work with some young guys on their American League deals, and you're proof in the pudding that our relationship with the players doesn't end when their hockey career ends. We have an entire lifetime to help them. So that's what's really thrilling for me about this, is it's a real journey, and you're a testament to that. So
yeah, absolutely.
You're a big fisherman. You love to get up. You're just up in Haida Gwaii where I was. We had a great year up there, and I think you did as well. So it's what are you looking at post-hockey? You're still with the Ducks, and maybe we'll talk a little bit about that. The Anaheim Ducks, you've been with that organization how long? You're involved with the scouting today, and still you obviously find some of the best hockey players, what I would say, in Western Canada or Canada in general. You see the game like few others. You understand what it takes to make it in today's game, and talk a little bit about what the future holds for you, as far as the hockey world and the Ducks, and and maybe that's a tough question to answer, but also what you see in the next decade or the last phase of our lives.
I just thought that I was in the Little Caesar franchise for 18 years, and I was ready for a change, Dale. It's nothing like I said, when I was a kid, I wanted to be a hockey player. I was fortunate to fulfill that dream. Then I had to still make a living, but I was ready for a change, and I just thought, I want to wake up every day now and do something I love to do. And so I'm either going to maybe look into a Tim Hortons and have one location rather than 10, and just baby it and look after it, because I like people, and I see business opportunity for sure. And so I was going to do that or get back into hockey. And I chose hockey. It's not the money side of it, obviously. I mean, scouts aren't players, but in business, I probably could have made a lot more. But I wanted to get up, and I love hockey, so I got into it. I did 1 year of part-time with Jim Hammett as our head scout of the Colorado Avalanche, and then I did 4 years full-time as a full-time Western scout. And then I left, and I joined Anaheim, and I joined them 2 months after they won the Stanley Cup, I think in 2007. And so I've been there for, I think, 15 years.
Long time. Wow.
Yeah. And I'm the kind of person that's very loyal to the company I work for, so I'm still there. We had a decent run 4 or 5 years ago, but we're not at that stage anymore right now. We're in a rebuild. We're young, and I still see it. I feel good. I like to travel, and I like watching these kids. And what I like about the scouting side in particular, because the teams have a pro side and an amateur side on scouting, and I want to stay in the amateur side because you have a new group of kids coming through every year that are first year eligible, draftable kids. And so every year it's exciting, who are the new kids? You saw them as a 16-year-old the year before. Now they're 17, they're first year eligible. You're going to see the kids you draft or other kids, how they develop. And it's a big change for these kids. You can see some kids, Tyler Myers came here when he was 15, and you look at him now, so it's still exciting for me. You're always cheering for the big club, but you have to be realistic where we are in the standings and where we are in our development and the time to change. So I see myself doing it for another 3, 4, 5 years.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Well, certainly one of the highlights for me, seeing you at the BCHL showcase and seeing me when you come to Port Alberni with the Bulldogs. But, the pandemic obviously has changed a lot of that for the last little while. How excited are you to grab the Timmies and get back in the rink here this fall?
Yeah, that was a tough year last year. And I just think in the scouting world now, it's changing so much. And, I'm a bit older than most now. There's a lot of young kids are doing it, and young gentlemen and ladies are getting involved as well. But the pandemic was a bit tough because there's a lot of video, I wasn't.
Tough to watch that.
For me, it's tough. I like to see it, feel it, smell it, and be in the rinks. But there was a few pods last year where we got to go and watch the kids. So it was different. I'm looking forward to this year. It's going back to normal. The U.S. border is still a hiccup for, the Western League and stuff. But we'll work through it, and I'm looking forward to watching live hockey again.
Absolutely. Well, excited to see you back in not only my rink, but other rinks around. And thanks for doing this.
There's always great kids coming out of the BC Junior. Wouldn't say huge quantities of them, but there's always the Turrises and the Bens that come out of those leagues and move on.
Great hockey player.
Yeah.
Well, Glen, thanks for coming by today. You know what, I appreciate, obviously, you taking time on a busy Friday, and I'm, like you say, enjoying myself a Corona. I played some golf with a couple other clients today, and and good friends, great friends of mine. So, Glen, I would say, again, I wish you all the best. Joan, your daughters, your grandchildren, and your health, and thanks to your whole family, like I said, your sister, your brother and sister-in-law that you've referred, and many other people. And I wish you all the best, and have a great fall. And thank you for coming out today.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate that.
Thanks, Dave. Thank you.
Thanks.
Awesome.
Great job.
Thank you.
Yeah.